What was your reaction to seeing the touch in another movie, Boogie Nights?
I thought it was hilarious. They, well, it was a spoof on the '80s. You know, Mark Wahlberg, he, sang it sort of badly, intentionally, but it was meant to be funny and like a spoof on the '80s. It's funny because I met him I guess 5 years ago at a BotCon or a convention, and backstage I saw him walking by with his entourage coming off of a panel for Transformers, and I said, "You got the touch." And he turned around and said, "How did I do?" And I said, it was great. Anyway, he comes over about 5 minutes later with his phone, and we sing the touch together like a couple of drunk guys, It was it was really funny.
And I would like you to give a big RetroCon welcome to Stan Bush. You are, sir. All right, we're going to sit and we're going to do an America's Got Talent. Who wants to sing? Nobody? All right, then we'll do a Q&A. So I'm going to ask a few questions of my own of this, again, immensely talented gentleman who has brought back my childhood. Well, I was 14, but still childhood with his amazing singing last night. So that was great. How are you enjoying this con?
Thank you. It's one of the best ever. Having fun. Everybody's been awesome. So, yeah, thank you. Thanks.
You're not wrong. It's my favorite con. Don't tell anyone. Not that this is going on YouTube. So I was wondering, how old were you when you discovered that you really wanted to get into music?
I started playing guitar when I was about 10 or 11, and it was really when I saw the Beatles on TV. You probably hear this a lot from people my age. The beat that kind of changed everything. It was like, wow, it's just can't describe the feeling.
10 or 11, and I understand you were in a band. You were the guitarist, and then everyone kind of decided to go on their own solo careers.
Oh yeah.
What was that experience like, being part of that?
Yeah, I came out, I joined a band in Colorado after I grew up in Florida, but the band formed in Colorado. We got a record deal in '79 and then moved out to LA and did one album together, and then that band kind of broke up, and the other members went on tour with Warren Zevon, so I was basically on my own, and I got a chance to do a solo album project, and anyway, we called it the Secret Album. But anyway, that album got me a deal with CBS Records, Columbia Records. So that was the first solo album, and then the next one was the one with the touch, and so the rest is sort of history. Thanks.
Awesome.
Thanks.
So what were your thoughts about being approached to do animation, songs for animation, like Transformers, and I think it was also Sailor Moon. You did some music for that. Was that this is not what I expected as a musician? I am a serious musician. Or were you like, this is cool? What was your reaction to that?
Well, I was always a band guy, so getting hired as a session singer when in LA, I started getting jobs for commercials and movies and things as a singer. Anyway, that's how the Van Damme movies came around. But and like you said about the Transformers, the animation, the touch was written initially. You probably heard this, but for the movie Cobra, Stallone, and anyway, for whatever reason, it didn't get in Cobra, but it got in the Transformers movie. The record label arranged that, and so anyway, but that was the first animation thing that I did. And Sailor Moon was another one of those things where I was just hired as a singer, sort of after the fact. Friend of mine, another singer, he I guess sang most of the Sailor Moon stuff, but they got me to sing the theme song.
Well, that's awesome. Yeah. Who's Sailor Moon fans? Anybody here?
All right, yeah, awesome.
All right, who's Transformer fans? I know you are.
Got a couple.
But you mentioned the Van Damme movies, Bloodsport, and Kickboxer.
Yeah.
Now, and we got some fans of those too.
Yeah.
Were those songs that you had previously written and they said we want them for this movie, or was this something like we want a movie about never surrendering, or something like that?
Again, on those, I was a hired singer. I didn't write those songs. I mean, Never Surrender kind of became a Stan Bush song, even though I didn't. My friend who wrote the Touch with me, we co-wrote the Touch, Lenny Macaluso. He had written Never Surrender already. So again, I was hired as a singer, but yeah, it was more of that kind of thing in a lot of cases. But
very nice, very nice. What was your reaction to seeing the Touch in another movie, Boogie Nights?
I thought it was hilarious. They well, it was a spoof on the '80s. Mark Wahlberg, he, sang it sort of badly, intentionally, but it was meant to be funny and like a spoof on the '80s. It's funny because I met him I guess 5 years ago at a BotCon or a convention, and backstage I saw him walking by with his entourage coming off of a panel for Transformers, and I said, "You got the Touch." And he turned around and said, "How did I do?" And I said, it was great. Anyway, he comes over about 5 minutes later with his phone, and we sing the Touch together like a couple of drunk guys, It was it was really funny. But he posted it, and it was like, a million views in an hour or two. So that was really nice. He said, "The original, baby."
Okay, if anyone has questions, please raise your hand, and Tom's going to come over, and here we are.
Hi, Mr. Bush. I'm a huge fan because your music. I listened to one of your recent songs called "The '80s." I listened to it on the way home. It's a beautiful, beautiful track. Since Weird Al he doesn't do parodies most of the time, no more. But if he ever had the idea to come to you to do a parody of one of your songs, would you let him?
Would I let them?
Yeah, would you let him, if he comes to you and asks you, "Hey, can I do a parody of The Touch?"
Oh, totally, yeah. Yeah, that's, I told Weird Al, I said, "You should do a food parody, you got the eggs, you got the flour."
That is good. Funnily, I actually suggested to Weird Al that he do a parody of The Touch, but I was like, "You've got to flush, and you've got to jiggle." Okay. Yeah. Awesome. Other questions, please.
So again, we appreciate you coming. You are very big in the Transformers world, especially in the G1 generations. I'm curious if there's any Transformers characters, Decepticons, Autobots, either side, that you personally relate to, that you find inspiration through. Is there any particular character that really resonates with you?
Well, let's see. I guess my favorite character would be Bumblebee. And yeah, thank you. Yeah, that was, of course, they used the Touch in that one scene where she's about to jump off the cliff, Anyway, they finally did it, you got the Touch. But it was, yeah, go ahead.
Hi, Mr. Bush. I was wondering if you could talk about the history of how you and your longtime collaborator, Holger Fath, got together and what that relationship's been like over the years.
Yeah, Holger is from Germany. That's why his name is Holger. But he's my best friend for a long time, and he produced my last 5 albums. Anyway, I was singing in a club, a bar in L.A., and he walked in, and he introduced himself, and he'd been a fan when he was in Germany, but we became friends and wrote songs together and recorded. And he's a really, really good engineer and guitar player, and he plays everything. And so we've been doing at his home studio my records since then. So, but he's awesome. But he's my producer. So, yeah.
Awesome. More questions?
Yep.
That gentleman there. Check your walk meter.
Hello, Mr. Bush. Thank you so much for coming here. I wanted to ask you about the Staying Alive soundtrack. I know Vince DiCola was involved in that. I think that's the first time he worked with Stallone. Were you a part of that soundtrack, and is that how you met Vince? Is that how you got associated with Stallone?
No. I met Vince doing the. I knew he did Rocky IV, but or was it 5? I guess 4. I can't remember. Anyway, I met Vince when during the Transformers soundtrack thing. You know, he was in the studio. He played keyboards on that album, and he did some tracks on my album too. The Barrage album. So yeah, I met him through the producer at Scotty Brothers Records. But Vince and I have been friends ever since. We we did our first con together in '97 in Rochester, New York, and it was awesome. I mean, it was just he and I performed a little bit. I brought my acoustic guitar and sang a few songs, and he did some of his tracks. You know, the guy's an amazing player. He's just incredible, like a virtuoso. You know, he can play anything. But yeah, Vince and I have been buddies for a long time.
Awesome. Another question here.
Hey, Stan.
Hey.
If you could make an album where you just do tracks of other artists that you're covering, what are some of the top songs that you want to sing and put it like your own spin on it that you've always listened to?
Oh, let's see. That's a good question. I always loved the band Foreigner. That was one of my Lou Graham's my favorite singer in the world. You know, he was those songs, incredible stuff. That was actually the '70s. So, but yeah, I've always been a fan of like the Eagles and Don Henley. Don Henley's probably my favorite songwriter and singer. But yeah, those people, I guess. And you know, of course, I grew up in a great musical era from the '70s and '80s, and there was always amazing music all through my whole lifetime. Really, even the '60s, the soul music, whatever you call it, R&B. That I love that stuff. It's like great songs and great singing, and it's the Beatles, of course, and Elton John. I don't have like a favorite genre, but I just love music. But I've been fortunate enough to do stuff and some big stuff, and it's cool.
Which Elton John song would you really like to cover?
Oh, wow. Maybe Philadelphia Freedom. I love that song.
That was great pandering to this crowd.
yeah, right?
All right, more questions. We have one over here.
I'll get there. Here we go.
Well, hello again, Stan. Concert was great last night, and good to meet you again today.
Thank you.
My question is, like, everyone in here loves your music and everything that you've done for our childhoods. Do you have any projects coming up in the future that you can talk about for them?
Yeah, I just finished recording a patriotic song, and it looks like I'm going to release it as a single. And I love this country, and I really want everything to work out. We have an amazing country. So anyway, thank you.
Stronger together. Another question. Oh, while people are thinking of questions, I have a question. You've done a number of live performances, correct?
Yeah.
And during live performances, sometimes things kind of go wrong. And you're live. You got to work through it. Has there been any situations that you've had to work through that were like, wow, you were just amazed afterwards that you were able to get through, I've heard about people falling off stages, and I've heard, what has happened to you in the live arena that you've had to work through?
Oh boy, it's all. But you're right. It's always something that goes wrong, and I have dreams, nightmares about that. You go out on stage, your pants fall down or something. Your guitar amp doesn't work or whatever it is. But yeah, it's hard to think of. I guess. We were thinking about this last night, actually. I did a show here in Philadelphia. My good friend Mike back there in the panel audience, he put this show together, and I performed for some, it was like a wrestling group. And with the band, it was some guys who just kind of threw something together and rehearsed once. And then, it was very challenging, let's say, to get through it. But it was fine. It's one of those things where you have to just put yourself in the moment, and it's like everything in life. It's like the song "The Touch." Really, you have to just put it out there. You exude confidence, and it just comes off magically. It was like whatever. Like last night, there were a couple things like I was supposed to be up on stage a little sooner or whatever. The song ended early, and I didn't know I didn't hear the pitch for the touch to start. You got the touch. I didn't want to come in the wrong, so I had to get the piano player, the keyboard, to give me a chord or a note, and then okay. So then I started the song, but then and then of course the drum thing for the last song for Dare, they had to get something sorted out, some technical issue. But it's always that way, and that's like a metaphor for life. We have to overcome little stuff and big stuff too, and to make it happen. But it's like the movie Spinal Tap. I don't know if you saw that. That's truer than you know.
All right, looks like we have a question over here. Yes, we're getting your steps in.
I'm so glad that you have a microphone in the audience, by the way, because there's so many of these panels. I'm like, what? What did he say? Go ahead.
Hey, Stan. Thanks for coming out. I hope that I wasn't able to go ahead and go to the Cybertronic Spree concert, and I was celebrating my girlfriend's birthday yesterday, so I wasn't able to make it.
Happy birthday! All right.
So I'm hoping you come back next year with Cybertronic Spree again, because then I'll go ahead and make it out.
Oh. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
But I just want you to know, like, your songs, especially Dare and also The Touch, they have like a really get you pumped up for things. Like if you're getting ready for a workout or you want to go and get ready for your work day, it really gets you pumped up. Like, what is it that you listen to, or what inspires you that gets you like maybe excited or gets you energized to go ahead and face the day?
Wow. It's, I'm really the wrong person to ask. I don't listen to much modern music, and there's some really good stuff out there. I'm just not really up on, I couldn't recommend or listen to. But just inspirationally, I don't know. I just like to walk outside. Basically, that's we live in an area now where we can be in nature, and that to me is the best uplifting stuff. For clearing your head and getting in the moment. But I'm sorry, I couldn't really answer your question. But thank you. Yeah.
Your music is great driving music. When I'm like, put that on. When I'm like kind of fading, it's like, okay, now I got the touch. I'm good. So what is your name, birthday girl? Angel.
Yeah.
For a birthday present, would you sing happy birthday to Angel?
Absolutely.
What do you think? How could it be better than having Stan Bush sing happy birthday to you?
Oh, you guys all got to help. Here we go. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Angel. Happy birthday to you. You got the touch.
That was awesome. Thank you so much. More questions, please. Don't be shy. Ooh, we have one right over there.
Hi there.
Hello.
You sang the songs for the original Transformers movie. Have you ever considered playing like an Autobot or Decepticon in the possible future?
I hadn't thought about that. Playing an Autobot? Wow. I don't know how to answer that. Sorry. But yeah, I guess you may have seen those animated shorts that recently that this friend called me. He's involved with Transformers, and they did a thing where I was the voice of Jazz in this little animated short, and there was a silly thing where they were gonna take him out of the show or something like, oh, you're actually gonna kill off Jazz anyway. But I said I got a song, and I sang The Touch, and they were like, oh, okay, and they all loved it, So it's like I saved my own life in that, but silly stuff.
Too bad the one in the movie couldn't sing that. Anyway.
Yeah.
Too soon? It's 2007, man.
Yeah. Anyway, I think it's a different sort of subject, but I mean, I gotta say how much love I felt last night, and really the whole con from everybody. It's just, last night was just overwhelming, and I just really appreciate all of you, and thank you.
Okay, so more questions, please. We have time for a couple more. This gentleman here. Wait for the microphone.
How you doing, sir?
Good.
Do you think you will be, all things being equal, coming back again next year to perform with the band if everything works out?
Oh, with the Cybertronic Screen? Yeah. I mean, probably. I really like them, by the way. We've been talking for years about trying to do something together, and but it worked out great. It was very cool. So maybe we'll see what happens. But
hopefully.
Yeah.
Everyone has to just tell Tony, bring back Stan, and it'll happen.
Yep.
We have a question over here. So he needs a microphone. You got to turn it on.
1, 2.
Yeah.
Mr. Bush, I've never met you. This is the first time I've seen you in person. Walked in here to help my friend Tom. I think everybody here knows you're talented. What I've noticed is you're authentic and you're very humble. So thanks for sharing that today.
Thank you. Thank you.
So in a moment where you could be just a little bit proud, is there a piece that you've done in your career that many of us don't know about, a more modest piece that you'd like to share with us? Something you're very proud of that we may just not know.
Awesome question.
Oh, you mean a song?
Yeah.
I'm assuming a song. Yeah,
piece,
sure.
Yeah, you
sure.
always had a piece.
Yeah.
Well, one of my favorite songs ever that I wrote was called Southern Rain. It's about growing up in Florida, and anyway, about childhood and everything, and how we go through life, and you sort of you lose touch with who you were as a little kid, and if you bring that back, I think it helps, and to cope with modern life and all that. But it's anyway, Southern Rain. It's a good song. I like it. So, but thank you.
Now available on iTunes. Check it out.
Dan, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
We both are DJs, and we work kind of together and independently.
Yeah.
And we find that the music that really seems to hit home is the 60s, 70s, and 80s. I mean, today's current stuff for the younger kids, you can sift through it, and you're going to get a lot of hip-hop requests. But of the 3 decades, the 60s, 70s, and 80s, which is your personal favorite and why?
Song?
Just the litany of songs over the course of, say, the 60s or the 70s or the 80s. Which decade do you like the best?
Probably the 70s. It was like amazing then. I mean, you listen to the radio in the 70s, you'd hear like Bridge Over Troubled Water, then Stairway to Heaven, and then you'd hear, some funky song, a soul song or something, Heard It Through the Grapevine. I guess that was 60s, but I'm just saying there was such a variety. They'd have a country song or, John Denver or something, and then you'd have, Eric Clapton or something. It was just awesome song. Every song was great,
Yeah, because what you'd find in the 70s, my son every week sends me Casey's countdown, the top 5, and it is so fun. You got a country song, you got a disco song, you got a dance song, whatever, you got a ballad, so it really is a weird decade, probably one of the best, yeah. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you, yeah. And, he mentioned the 80s earlier. That song is really cool. I meant to say something about that. It's my son plays a young me on the music video, but it can't stop that feeling of the '80s, and it's about nostalgia, reaching back and how it brings back. You guys are all '80s kids, and I'm more of a '60s, '70s kid, but anyway. But thank you for bringing that up.
I think we have time for one more question, and that gentleman there in the blue hat.
Thanks. Hi, Mr. Bush.
Yeah.
We're all familiar with your contributions to the soundtrack of Transformers, the movie, and I liked it. And I'd like to know if you could contribute to the soundtrack of any other big movie, past or present, which one would you like to? Like if you can contribute to the soundtrack of another big movie, which one would you have wanted to do that with?
Wow, that's a good question. I like action movies. I still every time there's a Mission Impossible or something, we'll go see that, and a lot of great movies. It's hard to choose which one, but I really like those early action movies, like the first Van Damme movie, Bloodsport. That one had a lot of heart, and it just that was like the key, really. You think about it, the very first Stallone movie, Rocky, the original Rocky, was like the best and the best one, and same thing with with the Transformers, right? The cartoon, right? That was the one that got you right here, and it wasn't just the music; it was just the whole thing was magical, just like last night.
Absolutely. Maybe you can write a song for Tom Cruise called "Always Running," because does he always run?
Oh yeah,
That'd be awesome. Well, Stan, thank you so much for spending this time with us. Thank you guys for your great questions.
Thank you.
Are you heading back to your table? Are you getting back to your table?
Yeah.
Be sure to visit him at his table and enjoy the rest of the con. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thanks so much, guys.
So, what are we going to do tonight, Brain?
Same thing we do every night, Pinky. Watch Fandom Spotlite videos and then take over the world.
Hey, God, that's great! And maybe we should tell them all to have fun?
And follow their fandom. Then bow before my genius.